Thank you for this great introduction. It needs to be a little bit updated because, Cubs won, okay? I should have brought my Cubs hat or something like that. Lucky enough, last semester, while I was teaching, I had a Cubs fan student, and he was flying the W. I used to joke with him, tell him it's the inverted M. And the M is for me. Okay, today we're going to talk about interfaith in a pluralistic society, and really after Carol's introduction, there is nothing I can say, so we can go home. Okay. She asked me about a bio, and I'm very bad in writing bios and selling myself. Here is a bio, but regardless, I don't want to go over it. But really, I like the title. My name is Mohamed, and I'd like to tell you, a story that I had. My name is Mohamed. I'm working at Dominican University. From my name, I'm a Muslim. Dominican is a Catholic school. Okay, I went to interview in this Catholic school, looking for a job. Before that, I was living in Egypt. Then I came back to the States, and I wanted to come back, and if this was back in 2009. If I don't do it now, I will never do it. So I did it, and I came back. I got this job in this Catholic university. I don't know, how would I approach it? Okay, and I could have, and again, this was what went into my mind. My areas of specialization is operations management and strategic management, okay? So if you look at operations, which is my main area, we deal with numbers. So let me go and deal with equations and numbers and calculate the inventory, the wait time, the quality, looking at it from a technical point. I'll come to school, I'll go there, I'll do my job and go home. Have my religious identity shielded, go to the mosque, pray, but really don't engage them together. Okay? Many of us do this, if you're trying to deal with the other. But really, once I went there, and I was lucky to be there, we started talking about interfaith and interfaith dialogue. And yes, I know Dr. Ibu Patel. I'm a student of Dr. Ibu Patel. I met with him in several functions. And what I'm presenting to you today is part of his teachings, as well as a course, an online course that we developed. He's running an organization that's called IFYC, Interfaith Youth Cooperation. And you can check it on ifyc.org. What is interfaith? This is a very important question. What is interfaith? Is it about preaching my religion or to your religion? What's it? It's a dialogue that refers to interaction between people who orient around religion differently. Okay? You're Catholic. I'm Muslim. Somebody is an atheist, a Hindu. We have sets of beliefs. It's not about changing mine or yours, but really it's about how could we together act. And to look at it, we can break the term into two words, inter and faith. With inter meaning that we have to engage and interact. How would we engage? How we will interact? This is what we will talk about. But if you look at the faith, it's not about interaction between religions, but rather the people who follow them. It's not interaction between our systems of beliefs, but between us. What do we really want? regardless of how different we are. What is the common good? Do we all benefit from safe streets? Do we all benefit from living in peace with each other? Nice playgrounds for our kids? Good school system? Is this something that we all benefit from? Okay. Yes. Now, what is our faith motivation to do this? And this is very important. You have to go back to your faith, your values, your beliefs, and find out what motivates you to have a cleaner street. What motivates you to live in a safe area? And this is really what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on the intersection that demands that we pay attention to difference in personal beliefs and perspectives common among people who are all normally can be Christian or secular, okay? It doesn't have to be, like if you look at Christians, are there differences? Yes. But what are the common good values? What are the common shared values, including seculars, Muslims, Hindus, Jews, atheists, etc.? There are some common values. And if you get to know more about the religion, about the faith issue, you're going to find out that all religions have one message: be a good citizen. It's not a message of violence, it's not a message of, it's a message of being good. Good to the society, good to yourself. When we look at interfaith, there are three approaches. The first is reconciliation. Here we have a dialogue on events that bring together two or more individuals or communities who are torn apart by their religious differences. A good example, if you look at, the Palestinian-Israeli problem, the Irish-British problem, if you're invited to this conversation, this is part of an interfaith dialogue. We are torn apart, we are fighting, we are killing each other. But we would like to reconcile. And this is one approach to interfaith. The second approach is about sharing. Share traditions and uncover spiritual and ethical truths they have in common. A good example that we do is the interfaith prayer. There is an event that wants us to become together, brings us together. We host an interfaith prayer. Now, the most important thing and what we need to focus on is cooperative social action. Not only to reconcile or share, but we want to look at the shared values and goals of religious diverse people and ask that people come to work from your own religious perspective. Okay, today the weather is bad. Some states, in some areas there are tornadoes, floods, there are people in need. We want to work together towards helping them. Each one of us approaches this from your own religious and ethical values. Who wants to help people in need? Who doesn't want to help them? Okay. Now, what are your reasons to help people in need? If you look at something that happened today, last night, it was terrible rain. Okay, floods. What motivates you to do this? and look back on your values, your traditions. Whether you're an atheist, whether you believe Mother Nature, okay, or God, whether you believe in anything, don't you see that we have to, if you believe in Mother Nature, we have to protect Mother Nature, keep it nice for us, and help each other to enjoy it? There is always, you're going to find out that there is some kind of values that we have inside us that will direct us to help each other. This is the motivation for interfaith. This is our approach to solving problems. Look inside in your own values and act upon them. So, if you look at interfaith, we want to move from diversity to pluralism. And Carol did an excellent definition of what pluralism is. If you look at diversity, diversity is a fact. We are all different. Look at our faces based on our origin, based on our color, our race, our sexual orientation, our sex, etc. We are all different. This is a fact. It's not good or bad, but this is a fact. So if you look at diversity, it's neither good or bad. And if you look at the US, it's a very diverse religious society. Also, if you look at the US, if you look at our democratic system, our freedom of speech allows us to bring our values to our lives. And looking at the politics, how people vote, you can see that faith determines how do they vote. Does it determine it on the good side or the bad side? But really, we are bringing our faith into our decisions. Now, if you look at what is pluralism, it's an achievement. It is to respect individual religious diversity. Not only religion, because, like when I start talking about this, what's happening in our society, okay? And I don't want to go through the politics of it, but what's happening in the south side or the west side of Chicago when it comes to crime, okay? Can we generalize and say that all people there are criminals? Okay, they are hopeless. When we talk about immigration, and I don't want to go into politics, but really, are all those Hispanics here are illegal drug dealers? Okay? And this is really the challenge that we are looking at. We're trying to generalize without looking at what's happening in those areas, those people. Okay? If we drive today to the south side or the west side of Chicago, where it's predominantly African American, what you're going to see is that neighborhood picnics. People are getting together to be together in the streets to make a safe environment for their kids. Okay? So really, how do we engage each other to create this pluralistic society towards a common goal? And that's why pluralism is an achievement. And we would like to create those relationships along the lines of difference. We understand there are lines of difference, but we want to create those relationships, build those relationships, build those bridges and not those walls. Okay? I work in River Forest. And when we talk about the wall as a metaphor, okay, I work in River Forest. Oak Park River Forest is a very affluent suburb. Now, if you look at the eastern border of Oak Park, it is Austin Street. It's a wall. You cross Austin Street, you are in the worst area of the Austin neighborhood in Chicago. It's an invisible wall. One side, it is heaven, one side, it's hell. How could we build those relations? And this is the challenge that we are trying to achieve. So looking at what is pluralism, and I'm using here the definition provided by Diana Eck, who says that it is the energetic engagement of diversity through the active seeking of understanding across lines of difference. Energetic engagement of diversity through active seeking of understanding. Energetic. What does energetic mean? As we approach those lines of difference, as we approach building those relations. You know, like one thing I see in corporate America is that big corporations have a chief diversity officer. What is the job of this chief diversity officer? Well, what percentage of this? What percentage of this? What percentage of this? Is it about checking boxes and saying that we have minorities, we have this, we have that? Really, what do you think? Should we check boxes? Or is it more? It's happening in corporate America. We have diversity officers. We want to say that we have a diverse workforce. Do we have a pluralistic workforce? And this is an example from business. Do we want to have a pluralistic workforce? Or we are good because we achieved our diversity quotas. We have our quotas filled. Do we want to know about each other? Do we want to work together towards the common good? Do we have the energy to engage and understand where does each one of us come from? And this is the biggest challenge. You see, there are models for diversity in America, and 5 models. The first is a bunker of isolation. I will associate only with my own group, with people from my own religion and my own belief, because I'm driven by fear and mistrust. And this is very important. You know, like again, I'm going to talk about my experience as a Muslim in America. I came in 85, came to study, and I found that, okay, I want to observe Ramadan, which is the fasting month. I want to, I started associating with people of my own faith. We sit together to eat together. I was living in the dorms, so when Ramadan comes, there is no food in the dorms. I don't eat lunch. Dinner is before sunset. So we have to sit together to find out ways that we can eat and, practice our religion. If you look at the Amish as an example, this is another example of bunker of division. The Amish are living in their own community. They would like to protect their faith. Many Muslims who come in this country, and this is again, when I talk about interfaith, really, I need to preach it more to Muslims than non-Muslims, because this is a problem that we are living in. Okay? And one of the questions that I have when I talk to Muslims, are we Americans or aren't we Americans? Because it will be easy if we think that the society is bad, let's leave it. If you want to live here, we have to understand that this is a pluralistic society, that we all have to contribute to this society. So the first approach is that I'm going to live in my bunker. Why do I want to live in my bunker? Because I'm right and you're wrong. Okay? So when I raise my kids, I want to raise them on the right path. I'm right and you're wrong. And this is really, like if you go to, not only in Islam, but go to ask any person, like ask kids, why are you following this faith? Because it's the right one. What about the other? Okay? So this is the second form where we want to amplify the difference. We are right because this. We are God's chosen people. We are the best people. The others are going to go to hell. The others are infidel. We demonize the other. If you don't believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior, you're doomed. If you don't believe in Allah and as the messenger, as God and Muhammad is as His messenger, you are doomed. And unfortunately, along those lines, there are many people who are preaching hate among us, among every religion, really. Like if you look at, unfortunately, yes, today, I'm from the Muslim faith, and Muslim faith is associated with lots of problems. But if you look at something like the KKK, the neo-Nazis, what is their religion? Christianity. What do they burn? And churches. Did they burn mosques or churches? Why? Because they're better than the other? And this is very important to understand the barriers of the division. Then this leads to a bludgeon of violence. And this is what the media likes to report. If you look at the media will never say, wow, today was a perfect day. We did not have a crime, no accidents, traffic was great. Weather is amazing. We have nothing to report. What does media like to report? Okay? And again, like yesterday, like Friday and Saturday, there was the visit of the Holy Pope to my homeland of Egypt. He came and he visited Egypt. Okay? And there was an open mass. I assure you that most of the people attended this mass by the numbers of pure population in Egypt were Muslims than Christians. Okay? If you ask any Egyptian Christian, look at your friends and try to do a statistic. How many of your friends are Christians and how many are Muslims? They will tell you the majority are Muslims because it's population. Now I'm watching the news, okay? And really this is something that, again, this is what the news likes to present. 2 weeks earlier, yes, before the Sunday before Easter, there was a bombing on 2 Coptic churches in Egypt on Palm Sunday. Okay? Majority of the people died were worshiping Christians. But they never said that in the first bomb, they were able to penetrate the church. The second bomb, they did not penetrate the church because the Muslim policeman and the Muslim policewoman stopped them, so they killed those guys. Now, how does the news present it? The Pope is going to this torn country where, 2 weeks ago, there were bombings of church. This is, unfortunately, this is negative violence. This is what sells. You know, if you look at the movies, if you look at everything, this is what sells. It's not the truth. Despite the fact that there were 2 bombings to 2 churches, the Pope went to Egypt. Despite the fact there is a terror threat in Egypt as well as all over the world, because terrorists killed more people in France than in Egypt last year. Those are facts. The Pope decided to take his little Fiat, unarmored, roll down the window, and be the Pope of the people. This is how we build bridges, really. It's not just living in bunkers, because once we live in bunkers, then violence, because there is frustration. And when we look at homegrown terrorists as an example, this is something that comes in the news. Those are talented youth that, because they don't understand the society that they live in, they're frustrated, and somebody preaches hate and the use of violence for them to seek the better hereafter. We can talk about this more and more. But the fourth approach deals with indifference. I don't care who you are. Okay? For example, Jim is hosting a party in his house, inviting me. He's serving ham. I don't eat pork. He doesn't care. I'm missing a good foot. Okay? Or if you're having Hindu friends that they don't eat meat, they're vegetarians, they're missing good food. I don't care. And this is another wrong approach. The right approach really is pluralism, which is building relationships, building bridges of understanding and cooperation. How could we build those bridges? Not the walls, but the bridges. Through looking at our shared values. What are our shared values? Looking at the common good. What is good for all of us? As I mentioned, clean streets is good for us. Safe play areas is good for us. Good school system is good for us. This is what we should focus on. How do we approach it? If you look at good schools, how do we approach it from our own values and beliefs? If you're a secular person, you believe in science and technology, everything has a scientific explanation. Great. Approach it from this point. As a Muslim, the first order, regardless of what people talk about in violence and everything, but do you know what was the first word revealed in the Quran? Do you have a guess? Read. Read. So the first order is to read, and read in the name of your Lord that taught by the pen. So read and write, which is education. Seeking the truth through education. I'm sure similar are shared among all other faiths. So a good school is good for Muslims, Christians, seculars, Hindus, etc. It's good for all of us. And this is the common good that we need to focus on. And to do it, we need to form a more cohesive and supportive community. This is the challenge that we are facing, and this is the challenge that we have together work on achieving. To have pluralism, we have to respect. Respect your identity. I respect you for whom you are. Respect your expressions and accommodate you. If I'm a Hindu going to an office picnic and I find that there is vegetarian food and vegan food for me, how would I feel about this company? And let me tell you a story. Okay, when I travel to Egypt, I usually travel via, like there is a connection in Europe. So most of the airlines that are traveling from Europe to the Middle East, okay, and here if you look at Middle East, there are Muslim countries, and there is Israel. Okay, they know that the meal does not have pork, and they provide you with, like a pamphlet saying no pork. How do I feel about bringing my business to this airline? I will fly with them. If I fly with another airline that does not recognize this, and I have to keep asking for special meals, and I find that the one that respects me, they will get my business. Accommodation is very important. How do we accommodate each other? And really, like, I would love to have more speeches about what is interfaith, and because if you want to become an interfaith leader, you have to have the vision, you have to have the skills and the knowledge base. And when we talk about knowledge, we like to talk about the appreciative knowledge. Because there is knowledge. Okay? We know that Muslims are terrorists. Muslims are ISIS and they're terrorists. So this guy is going to come and blow himself and blow you out, guys up. Okay? There is knowledge. Whether it is, we know. Okay? But what is appreciative knowledge? How would we appreciate the other? It's very important. And how would we accommodate the other? Then we need to build those relationships. And building the relationships involves seeking out constructive action, engaging in friendly conversations and shared activities. And really, what is important is that how to ask the question, how to approach the other, how to learn. Because there are some ways that I can ask you a question that offends you. But there are other ways that we can have this constructive dialogue with respect to each other's beliefs. It's very important, and I'll be more than glad to come and talk about examples of each one of those, because it's very important when we talk about interfaith that we create our own interfaith stories. Storytelling is a very good tool for conveying the message. And we do not need to hide our differences. We need to be who we are. We are different, we are diverse. We need not to hide it. We need to look at the common good. So to bring the community together, we need to look at our common good and identify the values that are both widely shared and deeply held among each other. And if you look at those values, there are a lot. The way I like to, when I look at for example, the Quran and the Bible, who is the most sacred woman in Islam? The holiest woman, the most sacred woman in Islam.
Mary.
Yes, the Virgin Mary. Yes. Did you know that? When Islam was a new religion and they were persecuted by the people of Mecca, Muslims migrated to where it's now Ethiopia. Why? Why did the Prophet Muhammad order them to go and migrate to Ethiopia? Because he said that there is a just king over there. This king was a Christian king. You're going to go to him and get justice over there. And he protected them. Okay. Prophet Muhammad had one son. He did not have his son from his Muslim wife, but rather from his Coptic Christian wife. And understanding about the Middle East and the Middle East culture, having a son, having a boy carry your name, this is the greatest honor. This pride, this greatest honor was given to him from his Christian wife, not from his Muslim wife. Do we know that? So I would like us to have some kind of a conversation, and I'd like to recap what I said. Diversity is a fact. It's not good, it's not bad, it's fact. But if we leave it unengaged, it can result in prejudice, discrimination, and violence. If you look at pluralism, it's an achievement. It does not happen on its own, but requires rigorous commitment from individuals and communities. Commitment from a community like ours here, that we are committed to create this pluralistic society. I hope I did not bore you with my topic, but I would be glad to answer some questions if you have. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more tips and tools on how to be a spiritual vixen, go on over to my website, MaureenMuldoon.com, and you can sign up for my love notes. Until then, I'm Maureen Muldoon, the spiritual vixen, reminding you to love more, fear less, and don't forget to laugh.